today is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. So it's a fantastic day encouraging gender equality in the field of science. And so we thought it would be a great thing to do to get our consultants and our doctors from the Surrey Park Clinic to give us a bit of background of why they went into science. And hopefully it will inspire lots of the new generation to become doctors and consultants. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Alex Standring. If you could just introduce yourself, that'd be great.
My name's Alex Standring. I'm a GP in the Guildford area where I've been for too many years really, and I'm also working at the Surrey Park Clinic, specialising in the menopause, and have been there, gosh, I've lost track, about 3 years now I think I've been at Surrey Park, and I've been working in this area for probably the last 25 odd years or something.
Okay, so if we just cast your mind back, when you were young, did you always want to be a doctor, or did you have other ambitions?
I pretty much did, actually. When I was very young, the first thing I wanted to be was a hairdresser, and I think that was because I wanted to have long hair. I was never allowed it when I was little, and then after that I basically wanted to do medicine pretty much from the word go, really. And I don't ever remember wanting to do anything else. I don't know where it came from. I've got no medical background, nobody in the family, so it just came from nowhere, and that's what I always wanted to do, and I was very lucky to be able to do it.
Oh, brilliant. And obviously at school, did you have a passion for sort of sciences, or was that your strength?
Yeah, I guess it was really. I was quite an all-rounder. I love languages, but in those days you couldn't do that as well as sciences. Maths was probably my favourite subject, and bizarrely, when I was doing medicine, you didn't have to do biology, so I did maths, physics, and chemistry for my A levels, and biology later on as an O level, which was weird, and I wouldn't recommend that because I think biology is probably the most important thing you need to do. But it was strange, but that was what universities wanted in those days, so that was what I did. Yeah. But yeah, I loved science, and that was, I guess, in those days, if you were good at science, they tried to encourage you, because girls don't do a lot of science now, but even less back in my day. So
were you definitely a sort of minority within your course? Was it predominantly male, or?
What, at med school, do you mean? Or
yeah.
Oh, well, I was in an all-girls school, so I can't remember how many, that's too far back. I can't remember numbers of who did what then, but we had a reasonably strong science department, actually. Yeah. And then when I was at medical school, I mean, we had 120 in our year. I guess we were fairly even, I think. My daughter's now at medical school, and she's very many more girls than boys doing medicine now, which is great. But yeah.
You've obviously inspired her.
Well, yes, again, I don't know where that came from, but yes.
Okay, fantastic. And then when you were younger, who did you look up to? Who were your idols?
I can't really remember, actually. I mean, my youth not as
other than pop stars.
Well, exactly. I was just trying to think, who did I like back in those days? I can't really remember. I think I can't even think of no particular teachers or anything. It was just, I must have got it from somewhere, but I'm afraid I'm a bit of a blank, can't remember. Okay. Sorry.
No problem. And did you find any particular challenges being a woman in your field?
I don't think so. I think because when I went to medical school, we were equal match, so there were enough women doing their bit then, and there were enough. There weren't that as many consultants as there are now, but there were enough. So and then I went into the army, which obviously is not very strong on women, but so I used to sort of holding my own, I guess. You just have to be, I think, maybe a little more forceful is not quite the right word, but
assertive and confident.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, be prepared to be, looked at slightly differently, I guess, really. But I don't think I mean, maybe there must have been challenges, but nothing that sort of put me off. There was the usual sort of medical student belittling, but that wasn't anything to do with being a girl. That was just because they were, mean to junior doctors and medics in those days. I think they're a bit nicer to them now. But
right. Okay. And when did the decision for the army come? Was that after university?
That was at university. I was sponsored for my last 3 years when I was there. There was an advert in the local paper that said, do you like sport? Are you studying medicine and do you want to travel? And at that stage, I ticked all those boxes and applied, and it was great fun, and you got paid to study, and there were lots of opportunities. So I mean, I had an amazing time when I did it. But that was probably pre Gulf Wars and Iraq Wars and things like that. So there wasn't, I mean, it just started as I qualified, but it didn't affect me particularly at the time. I missed out on most of that, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And where did you study?
I went to Bristol.
Oh, brilliant.
Great university.
Yes, my sister went there. And how come?
I studied at Bristol, and then I was supposed to do my junior jobs in the army, but actually, because the first Gulf War came up, I ended up going back to Bristol and doing some there. But then most of my training was done through the army, so either here or in Germany or wherever. And then actually back at the Royal Surrey, I did some of my sort of special GP training there. So
okay. And yeah, what made you choose GP?
I think probably because it was an all-round thing. I really enjoyed pediatrics, and I really enjoyed obstetrics and gynecology. And actually, as a GP, you do all of that. At that stage, on-call was quite hard in hospital. I think on-call is still hard in hospitals. It was easier to be a mother. I always wanted to have a family, and general practice actually has worked brilliantly. Being able to do both really well. And you can, I mean, I was lucky. I did my training before I started my family, but lots of female GPs now carry on doing their training part-time while they're still having children, and it's I think it's much easier to do general practice as a part-time mum than it is hospital medicine. But then obviously I've only seen the GP side, so others might say differently. But
yeah. Okay. And then have you got anyone that inspires you now?
Well, there's lots of powerful women who manage to do both, have families and work really hard, and I think there's a lot locally who are very inspiring. But I think anybody that I was trying to think of maybe not work related people, but some of these older ladies like Helen Mirren and Joanna Lumley, who just seem to just embrace life and do everything and still work hard. I think is great to be able to do both, but it's a fine balance to sort of not prioritize work and not prioritize your family to get it right. And I think as your career goes on, you maybe have to take, when my kids were very young, I didn't do all that much work because I wanted to be available for them more. And now they're older and they don't need me so much, I can do more work. So, it works quite well. And actually the joy about general practice, and probably a lot of medicine, is that you can actually do that and you can dip in and out to a degree. I think you have to stay working, because if you take much time out, it's really hard to get back into it, as in more than 6 months or a year of maternity or whatever. But I think it does lend itself very well compared with most of my friends who had high-powered city jobs or worked in London. They've mostly had to give up work and then just have families, and they're now trying to find something to do because the kids have left home. So
yeah. Oh, okay. And then is there any specific advice that you'd give young people who were thinking about a career in science or going into that field?
I'd go for it. If you want to do it, go for it. Look into it. I mean, I think it's a tough world now for everybody, and I think gender equality is much fairer, I guess, than it used to be. And just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do, and just get on with it. And I think as a woman you probably are going to have to make allowances if you want to have a family as well. I mean, men can do it, but there are certain things that they can't do that women have to do, physically, like breastfeeding, for example. And if you want to carry on and do that, then you're going to have to be the one who is available. So you just have to compromise, but it can work. and you just have to work hard at it and go for it. And actually, somebody once said to me, you know, if an opportunity comes, even if it's not the right time, you've just got to go for it, because there's always going to be a reason why it's not quite the right time to do something. And and actually, you know, if it's what you want to do it, and you'll have to just make it work, and you will make it work. Whereas if you don't take it, then you might miss it completely. So
yeah, that's really good advice. That's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
You just got to just do it and work out how you're going to do it, but don't turn it down if it's.
Don't say no. Always say yes. Say I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, brilliant. Okay, and then just lastly, to sum up, what are you most proud of in terms of your career, and then also what are the best things about your job?
Oh gosh. I don't really ever think about what I'm proud of. I guess, you know, I'm proud that I am still working. I'm really enjoying the menopause side of things, which is something that's just I've been taken up in the last few years. So it's great to have a new interest. And you know, I'm pleased that that's taking off. It's really enjoyable. And I guess I'm proud that actually I've got, you know, 2 good kids who I've managed to bring up and are doing really well in spite of me carrying on working and maybe not being around quite as much as they like. Yeah, and the fact that I am still working and I still really enjoy my job, which is lucky, because a lot of people don't. And yeah, and
Yeah, I mean, what's great as well is that you can continue learning new things, can't you? And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes not quite as easy as it used to be. You have to work a little bit harder and read things more than once for it to go in. But yeah, so
with your glasses on.
Exactly, with my glasses always on my head. But it is, yeah, I know it's always a challenge, and it's interesting, and yeah, sometimes it's really hard, and sometimes obviously medicine's really sad as well, but a lot of the time it's incredibly rewarding, and yeah, I feel very proud to be able to do it, particularly at the moment, you know, with what's going on. It's nice to be able to do little things. So
well, I know, I mean, that's the sort of possible silver lining of this awful situation that we've been in, and that, you know, looking at all what the doctors and nurses do, it may have inspired so many young men and women to want to get in and help. So yeah, hopefully that will be the case.
Yes. So.
Yeah. Oh well, thank you ever so much. That was really fascinating. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Well, good luck to everybody who's thinking about it, and yeah, go for it.